Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this edition of iBeard TV. As you can see, I've got, he's on this side, our iBeard club member, friend, Paddy Williams here. He's all dressed up there at work, looking very splendid. So we'll be on our best behaviour, promise you, Paddy. If you may remember, everyone that's out there, I did ask for anyone who wants to come and share their stories with us. We've got some tragedy to triumph. I'm struggling getting all out what we got there. Tragedy to triumph tales, or whatever it is you want to come and share. And Paddy got in touch. He says he's got a tale for us. I think it's a bit of an emotional one for him, but he wants to share it with the group. So thank you for this, Paddy. I'm glad to have you here.
Yeah, no worries. No, thanks for having me.
Yes, over to you, mate. You go.
Okay, cool. I don't know where to start, really. I suppose the last sort of 10, 11 months for most of us has just been mad, really. And just things have happened that probably none of us have ever experienced or had to experience, and hopefully again, going forward, that we won't have to experience it again, But I think I've worked for Tesco, so just a little disclaimer: views are my own, not that of Tesco, so I don't get in trouble. But I've worked for Tesco's for 21 years this year, and been in retail for over 23 years, and it's some of the things that I suppose you don't necessarily hear about in retail that have happened since the beginning of COVID have just been absolutely insane. Some of the experiences we've had to kind of go through, and just do you know what? Just going about our normal day-to-day work lives. I suppose to kind of set the scene a little bit and understand what it's like for us. I've been trained to get as many people in the door as possible, spending as much money as possible, as quick as possible, and get people through a till and get them in and out, to overnight being told, right, don't let them in, only let them buy 3 of this, make them stand 2 meters apart, and actually make them queue outside for like ages before they can come into the shop. And I suppose even with all my kind of experience, is like being told to do the complete opposite to what I know, really, which was mad. So, and kind of like at the beginning with all the panic buying, to give you a bit of a context, anyone who works in retail will kind of back me up on this. We saw scenes that we've never ever seen ever. Walking around shops that are just completely empty. And I think at the time, people were obviously potentially panic buying or buying for the right reasons, whatever reason they were doing it. I'm not here to judge what people were doing and why they were. I suppose what you don't see is, and some of the bits that people didn't necessarily see, is when you're at the end of the day and, you see an NHS colleague come in, a doctor, a nurse or something like that, with their lanyard on, and they're looking at shelves going, I don't even know what, I can't get anything to eat. Being at work all day, beginning of the pandemic, and they're looking at you, and you're looking at them, and you haven't really got an answer for them. You're kind of going, well, what can you do with canned artichoke hearts? I don't know if anyone's ever used them ever, but someone was using them because they were buying 6 or 7 tins at a time of them for some unknown reason, because that's all they could get their hands on. And I think kind of went on this journey then of coming out of the panic buying and going into lockdown, which was really surreal. It's like kind of being in the middle of a city to the day after tumbleweeds rolling like through the shop. No one, gone, like ghost town overnight. Really, really kind of surreal experience. I bet, because busy times they are, like, they can be manic in them Tesco stores. You know what I mean? There's bodies everywhere. And so from that, like you say, tumbleweeds, it's got to be a strange thing to see. It was quite, to be honest with you, Carl, it's quite eerie. It's quite weird. We're used to being in these big boxes that are always hustling and bustling. So all of a sudden, there's no one, But I don't, the scariest thing for me was I've got a fantastic team in my shop down in North Devon that I kind of run, and you know, when you've got people coming to you and saying, "Boss, is it safe for me to come to work tomorrow?" You kind of like, I don't know what to say to you, you know, because this was before all of the letters came out around vulnerable people staying at home and shielding. You know, this was people looking at you, you know, face to face, looking at you right in the back of your eyes, kind of going, "Should I come to work?"
Yeah.
And you're, what do you say, you know?
Well, you're in the same boat, really, aren't you?
At that point.
Early, don't you?
Yeah. So, yeah, and at that time, these people didn't have the letters to say they should stay at home. It was quite a rapid, quick situation. So Tesco policy hadn't necessarily been kind of written up at that point as to tell us what to do, because everything was just evolving. And, you know, you kind of send someone, well, you need to do the right thing for you and your family, and, you know, to keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they need to come to work and earn money. So it's kind of mad, really. And once we got past that, it was only we as many other businesses would have done. We worked quite quickly to get things drawn up into a bit of a, do you know what, this is what we should be doing, and to look after people. And it was really, really good. Absolutely couldn't fault it. Yeah, to come up with, you know, a policy from nowhere overnight is mad, really, and kind of commendable. And I know all the other retailers would have done the same as well. So you go from that to then all of a sudden, every person who shops in a shop has now become a retail expert and an expert on social distancing. Telling you how you should be doing things, how you should be running the shop, how many people you're letting in, you know, almost putting it kind of on me and my team to, I don't know, try and manage people's morals about standing 2 meters apart from people. It was like herding cats. It's an absolute nightmare.
Well, that's it. They want to police everybody their way, and the next person wants you to police it their way, which is totally different from the first person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think you've got everyday, you know, kind of people, colleagues that, you know, that come and work, all of a sudden, you know, almost to a degree being chastised was one of the words that I heard from a shopper around why we weren't enforcing people to stand 2 meters apart, and you're kind of trying to explain to them, I'm not sure how I can police, you know, 30,000 people a week.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
You know, it's impossible. It's people's morals and you know what they choose to do when they come shopping. So you kind of got all that, and then things settled down a little bit. To be honest with you, shop, you know, UK opened back up a little bit, didn't it? People started going on holiday. I think people just kind of assumed everything had gone back to normal.
Yeah.
Which was a real kind of weird situation to be in when, you know, I suppose I'm sat here and me and the team going, we need to make sure we're COVID secure all the time, you know? Yeah, we've got people coming down on holiday that think the life's back to normal. And then, you know, dealing with that bit, and it is if I'm honest with you, people were scared, you know, down in kind of North Devon and quite quiet when it's not in the summer, and then there was that fear of the loads of different people moving in from different parts of the UK to come on holiday, and, you know, almost people wrongly saying, oh yeah, people coming up country with their COVID. It's like, whoa, when would you have ever said anything like that ever in your life about anyone from any part of the UK, you know?
Yeah.
But I suppose that's what people were thinking and how they were feeling.
No.
But things started getting back to a bit of normality, and then for me, something happened. You know, I had a bit of a breakdown at the end of July, and I've had OCD now for I've had it for as long as I can kind of remember.
Okay.
But been like probably more in touch with it over the last probably the last 2 or 3 years, really, and more able to cope with it and more able to kind of talk about it quite openly, and have that confidence that says, do you know what, and definitely, I suppose, a little bit of stigma in my job, kind of got quite a big job, really, looking after a lot of people, a lot of business and so on and so forth. It's kind of a bit of an alien world to talk out about your feelings and kind of, I suppose, that worry that you let your guard down a little bit, and what people might say, think, or perceive you as, or kind of that way. And I'll tell you what it was, Carl, is because of my OCD, I got pretty obsessed around doing all the right things for as many people as I could through COVID. Right. Whether that be customers, whether that's colleagues, whether that's stupid things like making sure we got enough sanitizer and PPE and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I didn't look after myself.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't spend enough time going, do you know what, actually, what about me?
You're thinking yourself.
And it came to a real head, and I think the pressure kind of bottled up where, I was, and I know my team were as well, and every colleague in the shop were dealing with customers and their views and their opinions. But for me, my job, I'm kind of like the be all and end all,
Yeah.
It comes to me, and I'm the kind of gatekeeper of challenging what goes to my team, what doesn't, and I close those gates up, Carl. But not only from trying to stop stuff getting to my team, so they didn't, I didn't have an impact on them, but I kind of left it all there and tried to deal with it all myself.
Yeah. Bottled it all up, sort of thing.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah, exactly. And then, and then all of a sudden was just, it was just a mistake. It was just an absolute meltdown. I remember one day kind of just not being able to leave my office.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just kind of looking myself away, going, leave me alone. Don't come and talk to me. Really kind of, to be honest, felt quite isolated. But having said that, my wife is my absolute rock, and my kids. So, I've got that in the back of my head where I can reach out and, to them with anything, however much of a pain in the arse it might be with my OCD stuff.
Yeah.
They absolutely get it and go, wow, kind of, how I suppose you do question how you've let yourself get that far.
Yeah.
And it's quite difficult on my wife and my kids seeing seeing me in that way, really, kind of quite I suppose quite closed.
Not being you, not being the same
repressive,
you sort of thing. I would assume that's what it was like for me.
Exactly. And I think, but
go on, mate. Sorry,
mate. Go on.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I don't think you realise when you say you don't know how to get up much on top of you. Now, I'm only speaking from my own personal, from my own personal point of view. When I went through depression, like you say, it's not like it just kind of all of a sudden goes, wow, I'm feeling really bad now. I've got to deal with it. Because it's a build up all the time. It's, like you say, it's a bit when you put the pressure cooker on. You start off, you got all the air inside, and it's just simmering in, but it's building up and building up. Then all of a sudden, one little tiny thing adds to that, and then, and it's about to burst, and you don't realize you're there. But like you say, you're trying to manage it, so you're hiding. I think really you become more insular. You realise it, but your family do. And the first thing, immensely was, like you say, opening up to the wife, and she said, "I know, I can see." Well, she knew something was wrong, but not knowing what. We don't really understand it, do we? When it happens, but once you open up life, it does help out. But can I go back to the point now with saying with your OCD? I mean, is it things like you say that must have been a terrible thing, because if you're told, right, this is what you've got to do, I'm assuming like these are the plans we put in place for your employees. These are what we put in place for the customers. So if you've got these, say for instance 7 points, Is it from your OCD point of view that you've got to tick all them boxes, as it were? All 7 boxes have got to tick, and if you miss it, you're becoming stressed over that sort of untick box. And these things are building.
Yeah.
And if you're dealing with, like, say, Tesco, the amount of people you're seeing and the amount of shop workers you've got on there, you've got that times, every member there in your own family and your own self. So it must be a bad. I mean, it's got to be a bad place to have OCD as well. I mean, what you like with people stacking your shelf? Does that bother you? Really?
Yeah. No, it's really weird, Carl. So it doesn't normally affect me in work,
right?
And I'll tell you why. Because when I'm in work, there's a set of rules, right? So there's rules for everything we do.
Yeah.
There's procedures for everything we do. So for me, it's like a heaven because I just follow the rules and follow the procedures. Everything's good. Yeah. But I think the challenge is kind of overnight. You've got this new set of rules, but the set of rules and the people that you're, I suppose, for the want of a better phrase, trying to police to these rules aren't the people that work for you. You're talking about customers, you're talking about people visiting the shop, and so on and so forth. And I think what didn't help with my OCD was there's nothing worse than give me a set of rules, but I struggle to police those rules.
Okay, yeah.
But I think what the pressure on it was what was on the line if we didn't police those rules.
Yeah.
I think that's the bit that added that pressure onto me. When you got a massive shop and you got loads of people coming in and out, if something goes wrong, you're not just a problem in your shop. You're a problem for the local community because you employ so many people come shopping, so on and so forth. So all of a sudden, the kind of weight on your shoulders around something as simple as just getting people to stand 2 meters apart is huge.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the challenges that we faced. I mean, just to give you an idea, we grew our online delivery stuff like exponentially overnight.
Yeah.
So I cover from the shop one of the largest geographical areas in the UK. So our furthest we go to for our first delivery is about an hour and 20 minutes away from the shop. So and in rural kind of Devon and down into Cornwall, that's a huge area. So to grow in the size that we did, so the most orders we'd ever done in the shop in one day was just shy of 400, and then 4 weeks later you're doing 700 in one day.
Yeah, wow.
So you're almost doubling the business kind of overnight, as well as all the other bits as well. It's kind of like it's like having a big melting pot and just chucking everything in it, So yeah, I think what I would say is my boss is a guy called Rich, who was fantastic with regards to pointing me in the right direction for getting help, being able to get to talk to someone. He spent a lot of time with me personally, just and do you know what? Just listening.
Yeah.
And I think in the current world, people get real scared of mental health and what you can say and what you can't say. But there's only one thing you need to say, and that's how are you? Yeah, that's it. And actually, if you start off with that, then that person has got a choice. Then they can either go, bang, here you go, then you've asked me, have everything, kind of thing. Or enough conversation to know that actually I need to talk to someone, I need to get some help, or I need to kind of get some therapy, or do something different.
What was it that kind of tipped the boat for you to look out for help? Like you say, I know you were saying you locked yourself in your room, or you wanted to stay in that room away from it all. When did you realise that I need to do something, I need to reach out? And who was it where did you go, sort of thing? How did you make that step?
Yeah, I think I can't sit here, right, and give a defined when I noticed that it's come to a head. I think it just built up over time, and on that day, I can't tell you what happened that day, Carl, that made me go, do you know what? Today's the day where everything's gone too far.
Yeah.
But I remember standing in my office and sorting out about 1,000 bottles of sanitizer into order in like these green crates, to count it all, to like kind of do a stock take of how much stuff I've got, making sure the label's going the right way and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's at that point I think there's, you know, kind of that's my piece. That was my control point. I can control that. And it was over the course of that day where I've just gone, whoa, this is not good. This is not good. And I reached out to my wife first, because I always would, because, you know, she's that absolute person.
Yeah.
And then what's really difficult is, and this is really hard. This is a really weird thing to say, but I feel like in my job that I do, my job is to help support and protect as many people as I can and be there for them when they're going through that situation. And I think definitely with my team in the shop, I didn't show them that or reach out for them. And in hindsight, I probably should have, because they were probably the people that would help me through it, you know, from a work point of view, better than anyone, because they know you and see you every day and understand you. And my team knows the challenges I face, but I think, you know, my bit was, how can I help them if I've shown them my kind of edge, weakness,
Yeah.
whatever that is, kind of thing. And to be honest, the next person.
I was going to say, I think a lot of people get into that,
go on, mate.
that role where they start feeling, feeling down or whatever. They've got the black cloud on them, and what do is, because you feel that you don't want the people to feel that, so you start being more supportive to them and giving out as much as you can. Whereas really, you need to turn it inwards and reflect on yourself. And I think that does that. You start
definitely
concentrating other people, but then
the next person I spoke to was my boss, Rich, and he was really good. He kind of pointed me in that right direction of what I needed to do. To be fair, one just Rich, a lady called Emily as well, who's a regional people manager, kind of just, I suppose, listened and then went, rather than just sit there and kind of, I suppose, just listen and repeat back stuff to you to make sure that they're understanding of it. The bit that they had on top of that was, okay, this is where you need to go, this is what we can do to help, this is who to speak to, this is who's going to be able to kind of give you probably a little bit more of what you need.
Yeah.
And I think the weird bit was, Carl, was probably the first time where I needed someone unbiased who doesn't know me to tell me.
Yeah.
You know, I suppose when you're at home with your family, they want to do everything they can to make you as better as quick as possible.
Yeah.
But that's not what I needed. I needed that unbiased, going in deep and finding out what's going on kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that was probably quite difficult for my wife, to be honest with you, because it's like, you know, for her, maybe, you know, potentially at the time she's there going, am I not good enough to help him in this situation?
Yeah.
You know, we've been together for like 17 years, you know, she knows me better than anyone who's ever known me, you know, kind of thing. And all of a sudden you're going, actually, I need someone else to be that point of help, which is quite difficult. But having said that, you know, those early stages and that ability to be able to kind of go, this is who I am, this is what I need to do differently, identify some of those kind of, probably those coping mechanisms that I haven't been using, but someone unbiased and out of it to go, you know, kind of just think about this was the massive helping point, really.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I keep looking.
But it wasn't all doom and gloom, Carl.
I'm sorry, but I just want to point, because I keep looking over to out the screen, but I want to let people know who are watching this. Why do I keep looking over to the wall? Well, that's where my computer is. That's actually where I see you there, rather than here, where I was looking at the camera. So I'm just trying to engage with you and look at you, make sure you're okay here, as well as engage there. So. Yeah. But like you say, you came out the other side. Well, before we go to that, I do want to say to other people watching as well that may be working for not necessarily a big company, for small companies. The employers do have a duty of care to their employees as well. So they do have the responsibility to look out for the employees' well-being. So if you are feeling like this, definitely you should approach your manager or whatever. And that person may not have the answers. I'm not saying everyone will have the answers, but they should know someone else to go to try and get you the help that you need. You know, you might go further than the chain. I mean, obviously, if you're not working in a little small garage at the end of the road, it's not going to be the same as working for a big multinational company like you had at Tesco. But definitely on them big brands, they should know. Yeah. They should know. Companies should have these people in place. Not all of them do. Or some of them are just, like you say, you can speak to them about it and it's like, oh yeah, okay, do me a favour, can you go and get on with that now? I'm going for a cup of tea or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And it just goes in one ear out. Yeah. Luckily, sounds like you were in one of them places that you got the help that you need, and maybe still do need. So from that, after getting the help, then, but how are things now? I mean, it's still crazy out there with this COVID thing. But how are things now for you at work and at home? Is it all kind of? Are you managing it all okay now? Is it all good?
Yeah, definitely. I think look, one of the things I've done with a colleague of mine, we've got involved in this mentoring circle locally in North Devon, where we're mentoring. Yeah, so we're helping a group or groups of 18 to 24-year-olds that are struggling to get into employment.
Okay.
And definitely in the current climate, they're struggling to get exposure, because there's so many people that have obviously sadly been made redundant or furloughed or whatever that is. That job market at the moment is just saturated.
Yeah.
And with really, really good people that are snapping up jobs really, really quickly. But what this has done is kind of left a little bit of a hole for our younger generation that almost aren't getting a look in, because they haven't got that work experience. They've not necessarily had loads of jobs and stuff like that before. So when they're doing their CVs and what have you, there's not a lot on there that's jumping out and kind of going, pick me, interview me. So. And then when they are going for interviews, you obviously they're going up against really strong candidates that have, as an example, the airline pilots kind of going for jobs that are in a completely different sector to what they would have normally have done, and they're kind of snapping up all those jobs really, really quickly. And to a degree, you could argue that it says, well, rightfully, wrongfully. I don't know. I'm not here to judge who should get a job and who shouldn't. But definitely we definitely knew that there was and we definitely knew that these younger people were in a bit of a sticky wicket, really. So started doing this mentoring circle where we would do it by teams. So we did it remotely, which was cool. And we would talk about their CVs. We'd talk about how to fill out application forms. We'd talk about how to present themselves if they get asked an interview. Give them some interview skills. Things to say, things not to say, all of those things that, to be honest, they might not get, because they might only get through to one interview.
Yeah.
Whereas a year ago, they might have got to 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And we know that the UK, has been a bit of a challenging, place for unemployment for many years, but more so now, it's even more challenging. So, off the back of that, we've managed this is done through other businesses in North Devon as well. So I've built up an opportunity network with people I never would have spoken to before. People in the NHS, people within manufacturing, kind of all different walks of life, different views, different opinions. And I think when you work for a big company, you can become quite insular. You can just look at what happens in your little world.
Yeah. Definitely.
When you start networking with other people in different industries, you're like, wow, actually, there's a lot of the same stuff, but just done differently.
Yeah.
So far we've managed to mentor about, I think it's just over 30 young people in 3 months, about 3 and a bit months, and some of those have gone into employment. And some of them have come and worked for me, come and been employed here, and just needed a chance to just kind of get their foot on that first rung on that ladder, and be given that opportunity. And I think that's probably I care passionately and worry about everyone who's affected through COVID. I absolutely do, and my heart goes out to anyone who's kind of struggling, really. There has to be a bit of a vision and a view forward, though. You know, there has to be that kind of, where are we going to be in 5 years' time with the youth, with our younger people that might not get that exposure, you know, all that skill, all that talent, you know, and we need to look after every single person now, don't get me wrong, but I think we could really miss, this important group of younger people, you know, already they've got a challenge with school or college or uni, as well as in the employment market, you know. So for me, I get a lot of self-satisfaction out of doing that, and a real sense of pride, and I suppose it's taken a negative situation and put me in front of a bit positive kind of situation, really. I don't know if I would have got involved in it if it wasn't for COVID.
Fair enough, yeah.
I don't know whether it would have happened, you know.
Fair enough, yeah. I mean, fantastic. It's a really good positive story, and like you say, it started off going through the bad place, but you sound like you're really enjoying what you're doing there, and like I say, you've got some pride in it, and it sound fantastic. So well done to you there, mate. Well done. Whatever the reason may be, like I say, because of the COVID issue or not, it's kind of irrelevant. You all get different situations for your own personal reasons, but you're doing it and you seem to be enjoying it. And well done. I can see it when you're looking. I mean, we've got the computer freezing up there with you there, but your sound's coming across fine. Your voice, and you can tell in your voice when I was looking at you that you've got a bit of passion about it as well. So it's nice to see, and I'm sure the kids are.
The best bit we did though is because we've been fortunate enough to be working in a COVID secure environment for so long now. We were able to interview a large chunk of these people face to face as a mock interview, and invite them in and being COVID secure, which was great because we got the ability to do it in our shop. So actually being able to spend time with these people and the things they're telling you and their passion and their energy and what they want to do in life, and you know, it's kind of humbling, real humbling, you know, and you just, I'll tell you what, Carl, I want to give all of them a job, but I can't do that. But you want to. You want to just give them all that opportunity, that foot up, but you can only do what you can. But I was getting emails written back to me from these guys and girls, and you're reading them, and the level of thanks they have for someone just taking time out to talk to them and help them. You're kind of reading it, and you're like, well, you know what? You don't get better than that, really.
Yeah, of course.
You know, really kind of. Really nice to be able to give something back, you know.
Yeah, good. I'll
it's good.
Because, like you said, I wish I could employ all of them and help all of them. Well, you are helping all of them. You might not be able to give every one of them a job, but you're giving them that confidence and that kind of knowledge for when they do go for that proper interview, shall we say? Well, it's a proper interview, but you know what I mean. Give them that bit of a background that they can build on, rather than being the first one and being a bit nervous on what to do. Well, they're all but you know what I mean. But
do you know what
the confidence there?
Do you know what the do you know what the biggest miss, right, from all their CVs? And this was the scariest bit about it, right? Okay, is that the biggest miss? They all had like work experience and they all had little jobs that they'd done, but none of them put anything about them.
Yeah.
And what's important to them, and what makes them get up in the morning, what they enjoy doing, what their hobbies are. All like, and that's the thing, is you're sitting there all looking at all these CVs that are just totally impersonable, you know, and actually trying to help them and go, do you know what? Yes, you need that bit on there about your education. Yes, you need that bit on there about your job. How do I pick up this CV, read it, and go, wow, I want to meet this person? Because they all were into like different weird and wonderful things. I'm not sat there saying that you should put stuff on your CV that's not professional, because it does need to be professional, but actually when you see that passion that this lad had for that kind of that area that he was into, actually if I'm on that CV and he's going, you can write professionally around having I've got a strong interest in Japanese high performance cars, straight away, I'm going, well, you're different to any other CV that's here.
Right, yeah.
But that opportunity to go, do you know what? It's so important to talk to our younger people and understand, kind of what it is that. Do you know what? Actually, probably a better way of saying, how do they get that dream back?
Yeah, right.
That dream, that dream that we probably all had when we were young. That goes, yeah, I'm gonna go and do that. I want to be a fireman, or all those cliche things. Yeah. But how do we give our young people that dream back? That goes, go for it. Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, give them the confidence.
Yeah.
But yeah, so really good. I'm buzzing about it. I love it. It's great.
I'm really glad you came in and told us all about it, mate. You've cheered me up at the end. That has been a kind of tragedy to triumph story there, mate. That's a really good one. Thank you for sharing it with me and with everybody else on
no worries.
iBeard TV. You sound like you're doing a fantastic job, mate, and I'm really happy that you've kind of turned it all around. So.
If I could just say one last thing, Carl, it's just a massive shout out to kind of anyone who's done anything to help people through the current kind of what's going on, and actually, be safe in the knowledge that you could do something, you could be doing something that you perceive to be quite small, but it's huge for that person you're doing it for. And whether you're in a supermarket, whether it's Tesco or any of the other, it doesn't matter. It don't matter who you work for. Everyone, you're all in it. We're all in it together, and we're all doing everything we can. And people power is huge.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, and it got me a little bit emotional just thinking when you were saying it. But on our lads, even if you don't think you're doing anything, you just have to stop in, having a cup of tea and a biscuit, and just having a chat or listening to someone and letting them, talk about it.
Yeah.
Some active listening. You could have done immense amount of help for that sort of person. So, however small a person, anyone may think it is, you don't know how much you're helping someone just by being a nice person.
Yeah.
So, Paddy, thanks a lot for joining us, mate. It was wonderful having you.
No, thank you, Carl. I've enjoyed it.
Thanks a lot, mate. I'll see you again soon, hopefully.
Yeah. Take care. Cheers.
Toodles.